You know how in Minecraft, like sheep can only spawn on grass? Alpha Megapithecus only spawn on alpha lead sickness blubber particles. So basically, they created an earthquake, right? And it actually split the Red Rocket Station into two. So now the Misty Dogmeats were no longer able to spawn, and so they became an endangered species, right? Because of the alpha lead sickness blubber existing. In fact, there's this one story, it may be a myth, I don't know if it's true, but this guy actually had an alpha lead sickness blubber in his house, right? He put it on the floor, and he spawned a alpha megapithecus level 483 inside of his house, also known as King Kong. After he was shipped to the island, where he was constantly battling those weird giant creatures from Aberration in his island, he eventually escaped, went to the city, but then he got one shot by alpha lead sickness blubber spawn. That's exactly how. That's exactly how the monkeys with amazing eyesight came to be. The Vietnamese people that were speaking to the trees, they started swinging from trees, and slowly but surely, their little Asian eyeballs started to open. Okay, over this is like 500 BC. Okay, before Christ. But the thing is, we'll get to that before Christ later. But basically, for now, all you need to know is it's not really Christ. But basically, the Vietnamese, they started swinging on trees and speaking to them, and eventually they got amazing eyesight. And that is when the beauty pageant contestants came in, started taking over their land, so they had to migrate to the moon, right? So they were now moon monkeys, okay? But then when Roadhog hooked the moon into the Earth at like 498 BC, it created an impact that, left the alpha lead sickness blubber, right? And after that, the Beard Judge Cream moon, the alpha lead sickness blubber absorbed into it and created the first alpha megapithecus. Now, the thing is, this alpha megapithecus was only level 1. So it got one shot by a level 60 wyvern later on. But that's why he's not important. The more important thing is that wyvern also got one shot by Requise. Now, Requise, he's an entity that cannot be controlled. He cannot be killed. You cannot control his temper. Yeah, he's an anomaly, okay? He's a space museum anomaly. He has a museum. Yeah. A lot of people can come and visit his museum. It's still around today, obviously, because Jeff has been to it. But basically, after Requise made that museum, these alpha megapithecus started to invade it, right? So Requise decided to one-shot them, and now the alpha megapithecus are extinct, and that's why you don't see them running around today. Now, the monkeys with ultra eyesight got more OP, because the thing that was holding back their power was actually the alpha lead sickness blubber. So basically, they invaded the Earth, and now there are monkeys today, which are the remains of the ultimate monkey eyesights. Yeah. The Vietnamese trees still exist today, but no one can find them because they teleport, kind of like Dracula's castle. So, there's no hero gonna go and cut down a tree because it teleports. So, if anybody actually gets in contact with these Vietnamese
the only
trees,
good part in this movie so far is the cat.
The world as we know it may end. When it senses danger, it goes away, and it comes back up at another position later on. Now, at 100 BC, Requise started to sense something. He's in his museum, and he was like, he was doing a couple push-ups. And he's like, you know what? Nighttime is like way too dark. So he kind of respawned the Earth. He picked up all the parts and mashed it together again. It was a giant rock in the sky, and he's like, you know what? I'll just make it emit light so it's not dark at nighttime. So he did. He kind of, threw lights into it. At 50 BC, skipping forward like 50 trillion years, he's like, you know what? I'm starting to sense something. I'm starting to sense this dude named Jesus Christ. And supposedly he's more OP than me. So you know what he does? He goes into the future right before Christ is born, and he yeets that baby of Jesus Christ off a cliff. Unfortunately, Requise didn't know this, but he actually survived. Um, and so he grew up to be Jesus, you know? And then Requise decided to take a break from Earth. He's like, you know what? My work here is done, or so he thought. And he teleported his museum to the planet of Afghanistan, and he kind of just left. So at about 100 BC, Christ was like, you know what? I'm 100 years old, and Requise needs to go. I know he's out there somewhere, and he's going to come back one day. And so the epic battle of the Christening happened. And Requise and Jesus, you know, they regen health so quickly because they had enchanted golden apples. And none of them could die. So that battle is still going on today. You can feel it every time there's an earthquake or a thunderstorm. That's what's happening. It's when their health bar drops below half. One of those anomalies happen in the space-time continuum. Anyway, back to Beard, Jodge, and Cream. After they set up the radar sanctum at Route 66 with the dive bombers, they were invaded by an army of roadhogs. Now, roadhogs they had enchanted golden apples too, called their E ability. And also, if you got hooked by them, you're kind of boned. So Cream was able to invent a device called the Orisa shift ability. And he was able to attach it to our arms, and whenever he held up our arms, we would turn golden, like Orisa, right? Because he harnessed the power of the golden apple. And then Jeff was like, you know what? Summon Zarya. And Jodge invented a grab, okay? And basically, and Beard did absolutely nothing during all this. He was just in his bed. He was staring at his pot of gold underneath his bed. And he was like,
gosh.
damn, that's a nice pot of gold. And so it's basically while me and Jodge were doing all the work, this stupid leprechaun was underneath his bed doing nothing. And we basically defeated off all of the roadhogs. However, there were still a male and female roadhog surviving, so they reproduced underground somewhere. I don't know where they are now. They could come up at any moment and kill us all. Who knows? But yeah, that happened. And with the Zarya Graviton, some weird, like, lesbian Russian lady with pink hair was like, you know what? I think I'll take that. And so Jeff's, like, little tiny boy arms weren't able to take back the Graviton from Zarya. So that happened. Now Zarya exists. But anyway, Jangle's the moon monkey, right?